Everyone has their least favorite techniques. These are techniques that either they don't enjoy doing or they're just not good at doing them. But for a good portion of these, they're still valuable movements. They just might not be valuable to you. However, there's a specific category of techniques that are useless to everybody. These are techniques that won't help you in a fight or in a self-defense situation. What's going on, everybody? It's Rob from Combat Self-Defense, and today we're going to go over some of the worst self-defense techniques I have ever seen. But before we get started, make sure you're subscribed and you turn notifications on. That way, you never miss a new video. Now, calling a technique useless is a little clickbaity. I'll go ahead and admit that. I should be saying a technique can be impractical. Now, when I say impractical, I better define what I mean by practical. To call a technique practical, for me it needs to fit into at least two of these three categories. Number one, it needs to be simple. To be simple, a technique needs to focus on gross motor movements, as in moving an entire part of your body or multiple parts of your body working together, and not fine motor movements like moving your fingers individually. Also, to be simple, your technique has to be repeatable. If you can only do a technique against a compliant partner who leaves their arm out in the air for you, but you can't do it in sparring, you can't do it on pads, and you can't do it on a bag, then it's probably not a thing you're going to be able to do in an actual fight. So, to be simple, you got to focus on gross motor movements and repeatable movements. Number two, your technique needs to be attributeless. What I mean is, your technique can't focus on you being stronger, bigger, or faster than your opponent. Because obviously, if you're not stronger, not faster, and not bigger than your opponent, then how could you possibly expect to pull it off in an actual situation? Now, there is a place for attributes in fighting. As in, if you have a height and reach advantage on your opponent, then you should use that advantage in an actual fight. But your training can't depend on that. So number two, techniques need to be attributeless. And number three, techniques need to focus on what is likely. As in, if you're training for self-defense only, then you probably don't need to worry about learning how to counter a spinning axe kick. Not saying it doesn't happen, it's just probably not going to happen. So you need to learn to defend yourself against situations that are likely to happen to you. So those are our three categories. A technique needs to fall into at least two of the three of these to be considered practical. Now, with that in mind, let's take a look at these self-defense techniques and see how they don't fit into these categories and see what we can do to fix them. So, technique number one, I need to be assisted by the lovely Tommy here. It's going to come from a front choke. He's going to come and grab some kind of way on me. He either puts his hands on my shoulder like he's going to give me a massage, or he grabs my throat, or he grabs the back of my neck like he's putting me in a tie clinch. Whatever it is, that's what we're going to deal with right now. He comes in and grabs. This front choke I have various issues with, and this is the worst defense I've ever seen for this. What's going to happen is I take my arm up and over, which is good. I've stripped the grip. But now I'm going to do even more. Turn around, look over my shoulder, back kick, follow forward, chop, punch, and then I'm done. From the other side. He comes and grabs me. He waits here, gives me time to do not just this, but a full turn here, here, boom. And I look awesome. This is not simple. This involves a full turn around the body and knowing how to throw a back kick. It's not attributeless. It requires me to be super fast. I have to be grabbed and know to do all this, and then I'm able to do it. And good luck trying to do that if someone's grabbing you like this, right? And then, as terms of likeness, when Tommy grabs me like this is not where we're gonna hang out. We're not gonna hang out here where he's choking me here and he's letting me stand here. This is gonna be either a grab, push and choke, or a beat, or he's gonna pull me in to that, or he's gonna try and throw me to the ground, right? So I don't have that much time to do anything from here, let alone a big piece of spin. But like I said, we do have some good principles in that. When he grabs here, I really like this bringing the arm over the top. Notice I'm pulling the shoulder away at the same time. As he grabs, I pull my shoulder away. From here I have any number of options. Elbow, chop, back fist, hug. So there's a good philosophy behind the technique, but doing this full spin around to a back kick, it's just a kind of dumb way to practice three really good techniques. Because the spinning back kick is really good, the chop is really good, but putting them together in that sequence is just a really bad idea. Talking in the line of spinning, Tommy's gonna throw a straight punch at me. Now, first thing I'm gonna do is parry this out of the way. Parrying is good. I always want to parry. Where it gets stupid is afterwards. I come in here and do the collie front wipe. Now, I'm gonna step forward with my rear leg and turn completely around underneath and behind him. From here, I'm gonna chop to the back of the neck, grab. I'm gonna kick to the groin, pull him down, hold his legs out at bay, wipe his hands away, strike the eyes, strike the throat, step across his body, surprise, punch him in the groin, step through his body, kick him in the groin. There's a lot wrong with that, starting with step one. If I've already gotten out of the way of the punch, I can just fight him from here, right? But I'm assuming he's gonna give me the time to spin underneath and come all the way behind him, which is not how punching works. Even if you don't know how to punch, if you don't punch here, you take a swing at me, and I come in here, you're still gonna move again after you've not hit me, right? So the spin is just a waste of time. Again, it's dependent on me being fast enough to get behind you, which is not necessarily the thing I'm gonna be able to do. But moving on to talk about the other things that are bad. He punches here, boom, underneath, chop. I don't know why people like double chopping the neck. It doesn't do as much as they think it does. The traps right here where we hold a lot of tension, and yeah, that can be pretty painful, but it tends to not be the die motion that people think it is. But I don't mind this as a grab. The kick to the groin, that's fine. Where I have big problems is this pull down and now crawling back across his body. This is a dumb thing to do. If I'm here, I've knocked him to the ground, it's time to go. Boom, here, knock him to the ground some kind of way. Here, I come back across his body, and if he's still alive, what's that leg gonna do? Right? Even if he doesn't know how to wrestle, he grabs onto a leg. Here, he's got this leg coming up. It's a dumb thing to do. Now we're wrestling, and if he knows how to do any kind of jiu-jitsu, I'm now fighting above him. Why would I want to do that? Especially if I could just stay here and at best kick him in the head. So keep things simple. If you already knock someone to the ground, kick him and walk away, or just walk away. But making this technique a little bit better. Instead of doing it from a punch, Tommy can grab me. Give me a single arm grab. Right here. Let's say he can do the both arm grabs, but for demonstrative purposes, we're gonna leave a window so we can see. First thing I'm gonna do is use that spin to my advantage. I'm gonna use grab on him. I'm gonna come here underneath him. Here. Now I'm out of that grip. Is that likely? No, but it's a way to get out of someone coming in here and grabbing. Give me a single collar tie. He comes in here, grabs, right? I'm in here nice and tight. Boom. I still don't like that. It's not great, but it is probably the way that movement's meant to be done. Again, there's just better ways to do it, and that's really at the heart of these techniques what the problem is. There's better ways to do everything, and they opt for the most complicated way to do it. Speaking of the most complicated way to do something, we have technique number 3, which we're gonna have to do super slow because I don't see how I'm gonna do this without getting my head broken. He punches. Actually, let's come this way so you can see it. He punches, and I matrix out of the way and have his arm ready to catch here. I'm gonna pin his arm with my head and my opposite arm, and I'm gonna grab my palm and roll him to the ground. Once again, he punches. I step out of the way here, lock, grab, forward, and then kick or whatever I want to do. I don't know that I need to say what's wrong with that. There's quite a bit wrong with that. But chief among them is just the idea of here, right? I don't like the idea of a punch happening and I'm not engaging with it some kind of way instead of trying to catch it here. And if I'm going to do that, it would probably be something like here, where I'm not getting hit, I'm using this arm as a shield, then I'm attacking from in here. Or I'm coming here, boom, right? Here like this. That's still slightly better, but that catch here into the standing arm bar is just not a thing that's ever going to happen in terms of timing against the punch. But it's not to say there's not a place for that. Go ahead and grab me. We're here. We're wrestling, right? He's here like this, I'm pushing him away. From here, what I'm going to do is bump across to this reverse collar tie. I'm going to push up with this arm. This arm pushes here, this arm pushes up. From there, now I have that standing arm bar. Now I have control. I can walk him out if I want to. I can do whatever I need to from there. Once again, we come in here, we're in 50-50. Boom, here. I'm going to push him with the right shoulder, bump this one across here. This arm is going to push to keep him at bay. Try to come back towards me. Here, I'm using this stiff arm here, not letting it bend into me. I'm not trying to hit him with this, I'm trying to give him space. At the same time, this is going to push up and then down. And then from here, I can do whatever I need to. Again, the principle of getting the standing arm bar is sound. It's the way of punch comes in, stepping out of the way and doing this. That's the big problem. This here is not easy to do. It's not easy to learn how to do this to here to here. And since this is probably the best way to try and do it, or at least one of the best ways to try and do it, you should spend more time doing that rather than playing in the fantasy world where he punches here and I go, ha, here, boom, kick. That's really the issue with all these techniques. They exist in a fantasy world. So there you have it, you guys. There are the worst self-defense techniques I've ever seen this week. I have a feeling this is a topic I'm going to have to keep coming back to. But I have to say, my issue with these techniques isn't the movements, because for the most part, these movements are sound. The spinning back kick is a good movement, and there is a place for it in your training. My issue comes with creating sequences, combos, or drills, whatever you want to call them, that don't exist in the real world, because that's a recipe to go out and get yourself hurt when push comes to shove. I believe in honesty in self-defense training. I believe in honesty in everything. And if you guys are looking for that kind of thing, and if you're looking for a channel that combines the practicality of combat sports with the reality of self-defense and the fun of traditional martial arts, then please be sure to subscribe, tap the notification bell, like, share, leave a comment, share the video with your friends. All of that stuff really helps me out. As always, you guys, this has been Rob from Combat Self-Defense. I want to thank you for all the hard work. Thank you for all the hard work yet to be done, and I'll see you next time.